Good evening, everyone. Want to introduce, I'm Stuart Muzinski. I'm the President and CEO of Values in Action Foundation. And I want to introduce our board chair, Mike Gibbons.
Thank you. Makes me a little nervous speaking in this rotunda. I don't think anybody with my political ideology has spoken in this room in decades. So we're not going to be talking about politics here. I've been involved with Values in Action largely due to one of my children. I have 5 kids, and my middle son was given an award by Stuart. He's, 32? Probably 14 years ago. And he was a football player at St. Ignatius, and they got together and started a group to go around the various high schools in Cleveland and talk about the negative aspects of bullying. And Governor Strickland at the time gave him an award for starting this group. Stuart found out about it and ended up giving my son an award. That son's now a Navy F-18 pilot, so he's very proud of him. He's done quite well. But once you meet Stuart, you cannot unmeet Stuart. And I got repeatedly harassed to join the board. Eventually I did. And then I saw evidence of something that just kind of blew me away. This organization, as you go through life, and particularly a lot of the people in this room, they want to save the world. They want to do something that is going to change the route of society for the better. And I guess I've been looking for that my whole life. And when I began to hear the evidence, and I'm talking about, and since I've become involved, our first word is metrics, because if we're going to keep this going, we need to prove out what we're doing, and I assure you we have. But what this organization does, and if you don't know about it, please do some research, because I'm not going to be able to tell you enough right now, but we basically set the table for young people. They know what they think they want to be and how, or what they want to be because it's cool or whatever. And we give them the tools, both behavior-wise, knowledge-wise, to actually go and accomplish that. And I can tell you, I've been out and listened to individuals at a number of high schools, and you would be as impressed as I've been. These kids know where they're going, and they know how to get there. I mean, little things like eye contact during an interview and things like that you wouldn't even think you would have to learn. But more importantly than that, over this entire enterprise is one basic concept, and it's called kindness. And the good thing about kindness, it doesn't fit anywhere on the ideological spectrum. It's acceptable to everybody, no matter what your political background or beliefs are, or your religion. Everybody believes in kindness, but we don't think about it. At least I didn't. And I can tell you, I tell this story, and it's worth telling, because I was running from one meeting to another, which is pretty much every day for me. And I was going to be late for my second meeting, which is pretty much every day for me. And I was running out of gas. And I pulled into a gas station, and I started filling the tank up. I wasn't going to fill it up. I was going to only fill it up halfway. And I was going to take off and get to the next meeting maybe 6 minutes late instead of 10. Anyway, I'm standing there, and a car pulls in. Now, I had been the day before or earlier that day involved in a discussion about values in action and about the importance of kindness. And I started thinking about it. And anyway, this car pulls in, and it's got a flat tire that's really flat, and two of the other ones weren't very good. And three young girls, high school age girls, were in the car. And they went over to the air pump, and they were screwing around over there. I was trying to get my gas in the car. And one of them walks over to me and goes, "Sir, could you help us? We don't know how to put air in the tires." And I normally, without having gone to all of Stuart's indoctrination, I may have said, I've got an appointment, I'm late for it, you're gonna have to find somebody else. And I started thinking, almost ashamed, that I wouldn't go over and help them fill their tires. And I did it. And I have to tell you, I felt better. I'm sure they were very gratified that I did that. They were very nice young ladies. But what I found is kindness can be learned. It can be taught. And it changes the whole atmosphere of every relationship you have, of every classroom you're in. And, if you get the opportunity to learn more about this organization, you're going to find that it has miraculous effects on the learning environment in any school that this organization goes in. You can't learn when people are fighting each other all day long. And people, after they learn kindness, they start thinking maybe we shouldn't be taking a whack at the guy in a different group or whatever. Please, if you can walk out of here and say, I've got to find more out about this organization, please do it. Because this is truly an organization that can change the world. So thanks a lot, and thanks for being here, and we're very excited about giving these awards to all these terrific individuals that really reflect the kind of things we're trying to teach in Values in Action. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thanks everyone for coming. First of all, I want to thank our honorees, Mayor Dennis Clough, Councilman Mike Polensek, Councilwoman Meredith Turner, and someone who nobody forgets. Mike, when you said that once you meet Stuart, you cannot meet Stuart, I believe that that's true about Joe Cimperman as well. How do you guys feel about that? Am I right? And all of you make Cleveland Kindland. That's why you're being honored. Because our objective is to create Cleveland as the model for the nation, where we're talking kindness in the schools, we're talking kindness in the businesses, we're talking kindness in the local governments, we're talking kindness in our faith-based organizations. And proof of concept is not only our research and our experience, which shows that it works in schools, but if we think about how we all feel during the Christmas season, that is the immersive experience that we have, where there's kindness in the shopping centers, there's kindness in the business arenas, there's kindness in the families, there's kindness in the schools. And wouldn't everyone agree that people treat one another better during the Christmas season and people feel better? That's what we're looking to do in Cleveland, and all of you represent that. Several years ago, Sam Miller, many of you in the room know Sam Miller, may he rest in peace. His legacy still is very much alive. He pulled me aside and he said, "Kid, the world would be a wonderful place if it weren't for the people." Now, some of us feel that way, given, whatever day we've gone through, some of us have had that feeling as well. But as Mike said, the game changer is that people have a unique tool. And we call that in our schools the human mind, because all of our programming is based on cognitive psychology. And basically what cognitive psychology says is that what you put in your mind forms your beliefs, forms your attitudes, and then forms your actions. So if you are walking through the hallway of a school and somebody named Joe bumps into you and all your books spill, and you've heard nothing but bad things about Joe, and we actually use this as an exercise, you think Joe's a jerk. But if somebody comes up to you and says, by the way, I want you to know Joe was having an asthma attack and he was running to his locker to grab his inhaler, then you feel differently about Joe. Same circumstance, your books are sprawled on the floor, you feel humiliated because maybe you fell down a little bit next to your books, but you have empathy for Joe because you put a different idea into your mind. And the reason why kindness works is, as Mike indicated, if we are in a situation and we put kindness into our mind and we say, hey, you know what? I don't have to be negative. Let me be kind. Let me help those young ladies change the tire or put air in the tire. And, if I'm a little bit late to my meeting, somebody will understand. Or let me help that person on the street. Or as Mayor Clough said to me before we started this evening, sometimes it's just a smile. And in fact, I was relating to him that I always sign my name with a smiley face. In fact, if you look at our annual report, you'll see my signature is always with a smiley face. And I was over at Hillcrest Hospital, had a doctor's appointment, and they asked me to sign in. And I was at the front desk of the doctor's office, and it's a sign-in panel, which she can see from her end on her computer. And I signed my name with the smiley face. And she looked up at me and she said, that is fantastic. You just made my day. Well, that little act of kindness, you never know where it's going to go. Several years ago, MIT did a study, and they wanted to see how human behavior changes the world. And they discovered that over the course of our lifetimes, we each impact 100,000 people across our lifetimes. And they said each of us impacts 10 new people every day, or 10 new circumstances. Now, we could allow them to go out of the parking lot in front of us, or we could, block them in. Maybe that creates a negative situation for them. We could smile at them. Maybe that creates a positive situation for them. And across our lifetimes, we're influencing 100,000 people. And the people we have influenced are influencing 100,000 people. So we wonder, why is our society so negative? Well, it's a slippery slope that we've gone on for the past 30 or 40 years. But it can be reversed through kindness. Kindness can spread from person to person to person to person and have that same impact. And kindness grows organically. So the research shows that when you do an act of kindness, it influences the other person to do an act of kindness, and then the person that they see, it influences them to do an act of kindness. And that's how we each can reclaim the power that many people in our country and in our community feel powerless to change the way our community is. And we're going into 2 high poverty areas the fourth quarter of this year. We're calling them Kindland Villages. And one is, we have a fabulous partner. Mayor Annette Blackwell is our partner in Maple Heights. And what a partner we have with Mayor Blackwell and Superintendent Della Flora. And in Lee Harvard, we have the Cleveland schools, and we have Greater Cleveland congregations that are our partner in Lee Harvard. And we're going to take our Kindland partners, including the Red Cross, Mike Parks from the Red Cross is here, including partners who are developers and builders and landscapers. And in all those areas, we're going to embed those villages, so to speak, in acts of kindness, and we're going to watch the improvement in those communities. And those communities are going to be the model communities for all of Northeast Ohio, and I believe for our nation. So thank you, Mayor Blackwell, for your leadership, and thank you all, everyone who's here, for what you do in our community. I just want to close with a comment from one of our students. Now, this is a 5th grader, a Cleveland 5th grader, who wrote an essay, and he said, "This is my vision of a school called Kindland. There are no bullies here. Every student at Kindland is nice to the others. No matter what happens, we all show kindness and forgiveness to one another. We all make mistakes and learn from them. We aren't scared to be yelled at for making a mistake. We always support each other and each and every day. There is no cheating at Kindland. Our students know right from wrong. They all make good choices. At Kindland, the students show respect to their teachers, staff, and friends. I will continue to try to make my school more like Kindland by treating others the way I want to be treated. Now, this is from a Cleveland 5th grader. And I think that sums it up. That really says it all. So we're going to start our ceremony, and we're going to start with a presentation from from Westlake, Council President Dave Greenspan. And Dave has been a long-standing supporter of Values in Action. Thank you, Dave.
Well, thank you, Stuart, and thanks everyone for being here this evening. You know, I'll talk a little bit about Stuart and how I got involved with Values in Action. Was actually somewhat of a tough time in my family's life, and my older son, and Council President Miller knows him and Mayor Clough knows him as well, was being bullied. And he actually was bullied so severely that he had to finish high school in another state. And so when that happened, I formed an organization to address bullying and met Stuart through that interaction. And at that point, I decided that it'd be better to join forces with Stuart because, as Mr. Gibbons said, he's probably one of the most tenacious people you'll ever meet. And I thought it'd be better to join, and I did join his board for a few years, as did my wife. So we're intimately involved in the organization for a long time. And I had to resign being on the board when I went to the legislature because Stuart and Values in Action makes direct asks of the legislature, and I had a fiduciary responsibility to Values in Action. The legislature doesn't allow that to happen. So I withdrew my board position with Values in Action, but not my interaction with Stuart, because that issue I had with my older son, who he, by the way, and Mike Gibbons and I have something in common, as his son's a naval aviator, not a Navy pilot. I learned that. My son is a pilot in the Air Force. So we have that in common. So my son did rebound well. But when I went to the legislature, one of the second piece of legislation I introduced was a bill dealing with anti-bullying and hazing. And because the two are very closely related, and any time I called Stuart to come and testify, he would come. And he was very insistent that he wanted to come and put me in contact with other people who could be instrumental in sharing the message of not only kindness, but how important it is to deal with this issue of bullying and hazing. And at that point, and Stuart, I hope you'll remember this, is we had a contagion of suicides related to bullying. Especially in Muskegon County, we had 8 suicides within like a 1-month period related directly to bullying. So the issue is personal to me. Stuart's mission is personal to me, and his tenacity in seeing what he believes to be the way things should be is evidenced by the organization and where it is today, and his commitment to that. I'm half proud to say that after I left the legislature, part of that bill passed. Right, the hazing part did pass, the bullying unfortunately did not. I will say though, and Stuart was with me, when we were before the Senate, it was the last day of the session, and Dale Miller knows this when he was in the Senate and the House. Last day, a lot of weird stuff happens, and we were promised that Collins Law would become law that day. It would come out of committee and go right to the floor, and for some reason it didn't happen. And I had Collins' mother, Colin Wyatt, some of you may know the OU student, who died of hazing, in tears, wondering why this bill didn't pass. And sometimes things just happen the way they do. The bill passed 90 days later. It passed in March of the next year, but it only passed because another student at Bowling Green died of hazing. And that was the impetus. And I am a firm believer that the efforts that Stuart puts forth and those of us who fight for the right thing to do in this space, if that bill would have passed that December, that Stone Foltz would still be alive today. And that's what Stone Foltz's mother said in testifying before the House when that bill was ultimately passed. The fight is a worthy fight. Kindness is needed in this world more than ever. And so I applaud Stuart and the organization for the work they continue to do. Now, I'll talk a little bit. I wanted to end there with that on a positive note that Stewart's on the right path and always has been. Mayor Clough, let me give you a little history there. I moved here 18 years ago, and the mayor was one of the first people that I met, one of the first persons I met when I moved here. And he and I hit it off right away. As a matter of fact, he married my wife and me 18 years ago, if you can believe it, 18 years ago this December. So he and I developed a strong relationship. When I moved here, I was getting involved in politics. Dennis was the first one to truly believe in me, and I've not forgotten that. And I have a strong sense of loyalty to people who helped me. And he and I worked together when I was on county council with Dale. Meredith, we didn't have a chance to serve together, and I apologize for that. But I worked with Mayor Clough on county issues, then I went to the legislature and worked with him on those issues. And now I'm very fortunate to be serving my 4th year as City Council President with Mayor Clough. I looked at Blaine, I wasn't going to say this, but Blaine and I talk a lot, and he always asks me what's going on in the city of Westlake. And what I'm going to say is a testament to the city and to the way the mayor's administered the city for the last 40 years. I said, Blaine, our big issue right now is turf versus natural grass on our new athletic fields. That's what we struggle with in Westlake. Because under the mayor's tutelage and under his guidance and direction, along with the staff and the councils before us, we have put together, and he has put together and led a city that when he started as mayor 40 years ago, we were 15,000 people, half the city, as he tells me, was his council ward was rural. As we would acknowledge it today, it was farmland. Today, the city's 35,000 people strong. Financially, we were in very strong financial position. And the city itself, as is evidenced by its reputation, is where it is, in my opinion, because of the work and dedication of Mayor Clough. It's my honor, I guess, as a former board member, and as the one who's been asked to present this on behalf of Values in Action, to present Mayor Clough with this award. Mayor.
Thank you, David. Well, thank you, Dave. Let me say that I really didn't tell too many people that I was going to be honored today, because it's really not all about me. It never was about me. I've been involved in public service for 43 plus years, and it's the team that we've put together that have helped to make our community the community that it has become. So this award should really be spread out to my entire team and those that have worked with me over the years. But I have to say that I really appreciate being honored with the likes of Joe Cimperman, Mike Polensek, and Meredith Turner. I never really look at myself as much of a leader, recognizing that the position of mayor, you're often interpreted to be the leader of the community, because I have to work with so many members of my team in the community. Without the support of the community, we could not have accomplished what we've accomplished. But what I was telling Stuart earlier is I see so much joy when all you do is give someone a smile when you run into them. You don't know what they're thinking about half the time. And some people would say, why would you worry about somebody else? Well, I think that's the nature of being a person, being human, is to try to help others any way you can. And the story that Mike Gibbons brought up about putting air in someone's tire, there are so many examples that we all can probably bring forward on how we brought joy to someone. Whatever it is that we may have done, reaching out to someone who lost their spouse, putting that smile on your face, going up to someone and saying thank you for something that they may have done. It's so satisfying, and it's part of the reason why I'm in public service, is because we have the unique opportunity to make a difference, to improve the quality of life within our entire community. And I've just been so fortunate over the years to be able to stick around and get the support of the community. But I think it's because we did make a difference, not only in one person's life, but in many people's lives. But all you really need to do is be kind to somebody, and it makes a big difference each and every day. And I do that every time at Christmas time. When you were talking about Stewart, most people are in a good mood at Christmas time. You'd be surprised how many people that I see at my community center. A lot of seniors have lost their spouse. They're just looking for someone to reach out to them. And we have different events at our community center. It's been a great activity location. And people often ask me, what is the most important thing that I felt would be a legacy for me in the community? And you know what I say? It's not Crocker Park. Crocker Park is somewhat commercial. But the community center and the recreation center brings me the most joy, because people of all ages go there on a regular basis, and we change their life for that particular day or that particular activity. So I would encourage you, again, anything that you can do to bring joy to someone's life. And as I said, it can be just simply a smile, a kind word, or if you're lucky to be in a position of public service, you can make a difference by the programs and the activities and what you do for that community. So thank you very much. I'm very pleased to have this award, but it really is my team that does that. And I'd like to thank Dave for being my council president. That makes it easier to work with him and get more things done. And congratulations to all my colleagues.
Our next award goes to longtime Councilman Mike Polensek. Now, I have to tell you a little story before I call Blaine Griffin up. I know a little bit about what it is like to be in Mike Polensek's skin. Because, see, both he and I share a great habit of wearing baseball caps. And I wear mine because it's my brand, but also because people remember me. They might not remember my face, but they remember Kindland. And I can't tell you how many times through the years that I've gone into a restaurant, or I'm downtown and I'm going to an event, and somebody comes up to me and says, "Councilman Polensek, thank you so much for what you do." And I simply say, "Thank you, just keep voting for me." So I'm always giving you a plug, Councilman. Want you to know that. So Council President Blaine Griffin, please join us.
Good evening. First of all, I want to say to all of the honorees, congratulations. When you think about my good friend Joe Cimperman, the definition of kindness. When you think about Mayor Clough from Westlake, the definition of kindness. When you think about Meredith Turner, my great friend and Coleman Love's sister, you think about kindness. But I struggled with what I would say about the next guy because most people usually see him on TV giving people the business. But ladies and gentlemen, that's the form of kindness that Mike Polensek represents. He doesn't know I have this picture, and I'm gonna show this to him today. And it's his first piece of campaign literature, and it says, "Only the beginning. Elect Democrat Michael Polensek. Honest, hardworking, courageous, and he'll serve you." 47 years later, Mike Polensek is still serving the Collinwood and city of Cleveland like nobody has ever done. Public service can be a very difficult task, but you have to be kind and you have to love people to lead people. When you wake up in the morning and you get more, and please don't take this the wrong way, you get more FUs than thank yous. But at the end of the day, if you really love the people that you serve, you have to be kind at heart. So when you see this gentleman giving people the business, fighting for his neighborhood, telling people what they need to hear, it's because this guy has one of the biggest hearts that I have ever witnessed. He is courageous, he's tough, but ladies and gentlemen, he's also kind. Everybody that you talk to will tell you, and I always get a kick out of this because sometimes people have a hard time pronouncing his name, but you got to see these little ladies when you go in this neighborhood to say, I love that Polensek. But you know what? It's a reason why. Because here's a guy who has been Collinwood tough all his career, but at the end of the day, he is a public servant like we haven't seen in this city in the history of Cleveland City Council. I was fortunate enough to get this award last year, and Mike, you're right, Stuart does not take no for an answer. So when you talk to Stuart, Stuart is very persistent, and at the end of the day, Stuart really believes in the brand that he puts together. Stuart, you couldn't have picked a better person this year to be recognized and honored for being an outstanding public servant, but even being a better family person, better individual. And I will tell you this personally, I have probably learned more about politics in the short period of time that I've been able to serve with this gentleman than he probably forgot about. And it gives me a tremendous privilege and honor to tell everybody that it's only the beginning, but 47 years later, this man wakes up every day and approaches this job like it's only the beginning. My friend Mike Polensek.
Good evening, and Stuart, I hope you take those complaints that you get. That's what I want to make sure you get, those complaints when people mistake you for me. I want to welcome you all to Cleveland City Hall, and can I tell you what a wonderful honor this is. And I wrote down some notes that I wanted to read because I had a crazy, hectic day today, and I was driving in the car thinking what I wanted to say. But to be a recipient of the Kindland Leadership Award, along with the other distinguished individuals, is a great honor. I want to thank the Values in Action Foundation and the Kindland Movement for this special evening. I want to thank Stuart and Susan and their team, and above all, the Board of Directors under the leadership of Mike Gibbons, and along with the other board and associate members. I also want to thank and congratulate my dear longtime friend Joe Cimperman, who's being recognized tonight, President and CEO of Global Cleveland, the Honorable Meredith Turner, Member of Cuyahoga Council, District 9, and the Honorable Dennis Clough, longtime Mayor of Westlake, and he's done a wonderful job out there. To be receiving this award, and I was thinking about this as I was driving down, in the rotunda of City Hall is a very special for me. For City Hall has been my home, as Blaine indicated, for just over 47 years. I came in City Hall a young man in my 20s, and I'm going to be leaving at some point, a little bit older to say the least. What I've learned during that time is that by working together and caring about one another, we can and will make a difference in our city and beyond. In America today, more than ever during my tenure as an elected official, we need to be respectful and caring about each other, regardless of our differences. I've never witnessed the type of division we have today in America. I want to say that again. I've never witnessed the kind of division we have today. So when we talk about being kind, it's about reaching out to our neighbors, to those in need, and across the political aisle. This is more important than ever before, my brothers and sisters. Remember, we can disagree and still be agreeable. I was just in Washington, D.C. with the council president, and I got to tell you, Blaine is an excellent and outstanding council president. And he just passed last night a $2.1 billion budget. $2.1 billion budget on behalf of the people of the city of Cleveland that goes out of its way to address neighborhood concerns and issues. We were at the National League of Cities in D.C. to meet with federal officials and in some cases state officials as well to express our concerns and priorities. To say the least, the environment in Washington was not good. Again, the environment in Washington was not good. I witnessed division and friction and heard it firsthand If there's ever a place that needs Kindland virtues, it is in Washington, D.C. In closing, I wish to thank all who took the time to be here tonight for this special award ceremony. May Kindland continue to promote brotherhood, decency, and understanding. I also want to thank the other public officials that are here, commend them for their work. I want to commend the members of the clergy that are here, and I want to recognize the Slovenian Consul General who shocked me to walk in the door, Susanna Sesteric. Stand up and say hello. And I want to recognize the honorary Lithuanian Consul General who is here as well, if she's still here. Come on, stand up. Because Ingrid Blubelis, because City Hall, we welcome all at City Hall. And in this rotunda, as Blaine knows, so often we have the various ethnic and racial groups here for a wide variety of programs. So it's such a wonderful experience to be here. I hope you take the time, those of you who are in attendance, to come in and visit some of these events that we have. And I want to thank again the Council President and my colleagues for the work that they do. I just want to end by saying, God bless all who came out tonight. God bless our citizens, and God bless America. Thank you for this award. I appreciate it. Well, being right here at City Hall is very special because when I came into City Hall as a very young man, there were a lot of people here who were extremely kind to me, who reached out to help me. So when I sit in this rotunda and receive this award tonight, it has special meaning. It has, I think of all the people who are no longer with us, who just went out to help a very young man who got elected, who really didn't know that much about City Hall, but they were here and they reached, regardless of their political party, they reached out to help me, and I'm always thankful for that. And again, as the senior member of Cleveland City Council, I'm always mindful of the people who help me, who are just kind and gentle. That's what else. When I think of Kindland, I think of those type of people who are here at City Hall and in my neighborhood, who helped me tremendously. So again, it's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank Stuart and all the staff, and I want to thank the board for picking me. I'm honored by it, and I'm greatly appreciative.
So those of you who are from the Collinwood neighborhood, I want you to know that several years ago, for about 8 years, we had a program at Collinwood High School called Believe to Achieve. And Believe to Achieve took the most at-risk young ladies who the principal felt were going to drop out at the end of the 9th grade. Huge problem. And we developed a cohort led by a very talented facilitator. And the curriculum was called Winning at the Game of Life. And the girls got it because what our facilitator conveyed in each session is if life is a game, you have to know the rules. And if you're playing baseball and you bring basketball's rules to baseball, you're not going to win at baseball. If you're bringing other rules to the success game, you're not going to be successful. The graduation rate at that time for CMSD was between 45 and 50%. Between 85 and 90% of these young ladies graduated, and many of them were at the top of their class. And so it just goes to show that, as Councilman Polensek said, as Mayor Clough said, that if you show people that you care, it goes a long way. And you know, there are some people who are so resilient that if they're living in their cars, they're still going to succeed, and they're going to get a free ride to college, and they're going to be super successful. But most of us need that validation, that human validation, that somebody's there who cares about us. And then if we have that caring person, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a facilitator, whether it's a ward leader, a councilman, a councilwoman, it's a game changer. because we all respond to caring. So I want to call up now one of the most caring people in our community, and I'm so thrilled that I've gotten to know her because she was the winner of our Mayor's Challenge for Kindness 2 years ago, where she collaborated with the school district and they got the local hardware store to give everybody in the community free light bulbs, and everybody during the dark days of winter at the homes in Maple Heights turned their lights on so that children would feel safe going to school. And last year, Mayor Blackwell was a recipient of this very award. So I want to call Mayor Blackwell up to present the award to Joe Cimperman.
Good evening, and Joe Cimperman had no idea, and I talked to you this weekend. It was so fun keeping it from you. I am so pleased to be here this evening. I'm very honored to have met this wonderful organization who challenged the mayors to show kindness. And for those of you who may know a little bit about Maple Heights, it's been a tough journey. It's a city that's had some hard times. We've got about a 30% poverty rate. There's been a lot of disinvestment. But when I got the challenge, I told everybody, I'm going to win. And we did just that. Wins are hard to come by unless you truly, truly believe. It's my job as my colleague, Mayor Clough, congratulations on your win tonight. You've been a great mentor and friend. I call you with the silliest or simplest of questions, and you break it down, and I know exactly what to do when I got off the phone with you. So thank you for what you've done for me in my leadership in Maple Heights. But when you give people something to fight for, to champion, to stand out, they will respond. And the schools responded, and even those who didn't have children in the school district, when I came up with how we were going to light the way to school, we called it Light the Way to School, and I called on Home Depot and I said, I need light bulbs. They said, how many? It's very dark in Maple Heights, it's the east and the west side, and walking across that bridge can be quite dark. Those kids are leaving the home at 6:45 in the morning. And I said, would you put a light bulb? They didn't care about it was going to cost them a little bit extra on their light bill, or they didn't have kids in the school. They lit up the way with those light bulbs. And we recorded all of those acts of kindness. And I knew I had my win because I had the city behind me, had corporate partnership behind me, and I had Kindland behind me. So thank you so much, and I'm very proud of Maple Heights. I was introduced to Kindland through a company that was in Maple Heights. Kindness was shown to me, and so I had this role model. Carrie Jarrow is the CEO of Goja when they moved to Maple Heights. When she was receiving this award, said, I'd like for you to introduce me. When you're a city like Maple Heights, to get a company like Goja means new jobs, local jobs, competitive wage-paying jobs, hope, and economic development that brings back revenue so that I can provide essential city services. It's a return on the investment to the people who choose Maple Heights to do business or to live. And for her to choose Maple Heights, she chose me twice. She chose me out of all the people she knows, and Goja is a very, very big, prominent company, to introduce her when she received the Kindland Award. And she chose me again, she chose our city to open their business. So I'm very, very honored to be here tonight to introduce someone who's been extremely kind to me. This is, I believe, my third year serving on the board of Global Cleveland. And Joe Cimperman and I have been working together very closely. I don't care what he asks me, he knows I'm going to say yes. You know you don't say no to Joe Cimperman. But the work is rewarding, and you can tell that I like winning a little bit. We win when we help people coming from other countries with language barriers, with the fear of deportation, not knowing the language, not knowing the customs. We champion for them and we win. Joe Cimperman and the members of Global Cleveland are fighting and championing for people all over this world that come to our city. I'll tell you a brief story. There is a Ukrainian, I have a new Ukrainian employee that cannot speak any English. He needed a job, and he had moved to Maple Heights. It took me about 4 months to get him the job in the service department because it was very difficult. The language to fill out the application. And Valentin Pajenko still doesn't speak English, so all of my service guys use ChatGPT. He's at work almost a half an hour early. He does any and everything. He's one of the strongest men I've ever met. His son just got the math award at our local schools. And I'm very happy to have offered him that employment. And Joe showed me how to do that. To all of the recipients here tonight, congratulations. Meredith Turner, who has been a sister, who has been with me from the very beginning. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. Mike Polensek, who I keep running into and I'm getting to know. But I grew up on Thornhill Drive, very closely in Cleveland, and went to what was VA, but now it's SJ. So I've kind of been in your community a little bit for a very long time. So congratulations to you all. So before I take my seat, I do want to introduce this amazing public servant, this amazing humanitarian, this international citizen to you tonight. Joe Cimperman serves as the president of Global Cleveland, a nonprofit organization dedicated to fostering economic growth through international connections, welcoming newcomers, and championing the contributions of immigrants to Northeast Ohio. With decades of experience in advocacy, policy, and civic engagement, Joe is deeply committed to community development and inclusive prosperity. Under his leadership, Global Cleveland continues to build a more vibrant and diverse region by strengthening opportunities for global talent and ensuring that all international residents can reach their full potential. Through collaboration, education, and innovation, this organization cultivates an inclusive environment that celebrates diversity, prosperity, and enriches the cultural fabric of our region. By connecting newcomers to resources and people like me, I'm sure he'll call and say someone needs something else, and I will find a way to get it done. So many opportunities, and just a complete welcoming network. A respectful process. A process with humanity and compassion. Global Cleveland not only empowers individuals, but also contributes to the region's overall economic growth and vitality. These are our new neighbors. These are our new homeowners. These are our new employees. And I want to thank Global Cleveland and Joe Cimperman. And I sit in that position of Global Cleveland as a representative of the Cuyahoga Mayors and City Managers Association. So I do want to acknowledge them. Joe, you get an award tonight, and I have the honor of giving you something back for all that you've done for me. Please join me.
Thank you, Mayor Blackwell. When I was listening to you and remembering Mayor Clough, I thought to myself, you know, Cleveland and Northeast Ohio, we have a lot of great things, but my God, we have some fantastic public servants like you, Mayor Blackwell, and you, Mayor Clough. You guys are the best of our community, and it's an honor to be in this room with both of you. Thank you for everything that you guys do. I want to just say, when you think about Mayor Clough and Mayor Blackwell, Council President Miller's here, Councilman Jones, Councilwoman Miller, Councilman Polensek, Council President Griffin, and I know there's a few other elected officials. Between them, and you wouldn't know it by looking at them, but between them, we have almost 200 years of sacrifice and service to others in this room. And it goes from every side of this region, and we are so lucky. I want to just thank Kindland. I want to thank you, Stuart and Sue, for honoring Global Cleveland, for giving our organization this award. I also want to give a shout out to the guy who's at every single ethnic event in Cleveland, Dan Hansen. Dan, you are unbelievable. And you are kind. It's funny we're here in this rotunda that has hosted presidents. When President Carter and Governor Reagan were debating, they actually walked through this rotunda on their way to Public Hall. Every day it hosts homeless people who are going to get their birth certificate to get their lives back. Every person, no matter how important or somebody who's struggling, is shown kindness in buildings like this. And I think about Councilwoman Turner, Mayor Clough, and Councilman Polensek, and when I think about how people look for examples in life, I think how fortunate we are to have them. I also think that we are so lucky to have an organization like Kindland that when I first learned about it, I didn't get it. And then I started to learn a little bit more, and I attended different events, and it really taught me a lot. But let's be blunt with each other. Kindland is hard, right? You hear the leaders that spoke tonight talking about helping someone with a tire, Mr. Gibbons, Mayor Clough helping a senior at the holidays, Mayor Blackwell giving somebody a job, Councilman Polensek standing up for seniors that need help in their houses, Councilwoman Turner, who's been an advocate before she was elected. It's not easy, but again and again, they make the choice to be kind because kindness is everything. I want to thank the board of Global Cleveland who's here. This is your award. The board that's present, our board alumni like Doug Bougie. I want to thank my colleagues who are here as well, my wonderful family at work, Zachary, Gwendolyn, Supriya, Nancy, Allison, Cameron, I love you. And of course, we're lucky to have somebody like Councilman Danny Kelly here as well. We've got some great folks. When I worked in this building, I used to give tours, and a 7th grader from St. Columkill asked me, Councilman Cimperman, what was this building before City Hall was here? And I had to tell the story that before City Hall was built, this was a part of town that had a lot of swamps, and it was kind of rough territory back in the late 1800s. At one point, there were saloons and dance halls and casinos here. And the 7th grader asked me, they were learning about city planning. They said, Councilman, is what we have now a higher and better use? And I said, actually it is. It's a much better use because the giving that this place does is incredible. I'm going to conclude by saying 2 things. One is today is the feast day of St. Joseph. St. Joseph on March 19th in Italy, this is Father's Day. In nations like Poland and Slovenia and Ukraine, this day is celebrated. Our Consul General from Lithuania is wearing the exact right color that St. Joseph's Day calls for. But when you look at St. Joseph's Day, what it is there's a feast that happens at night, and it's a table. And at St. Joseph's table are everybody who can bring food does, and if you can't, don't worry about it. It is the patron saint day of kindness. And I think about each and every one of you who are in this room, and when we think about St. Joseph, that's what we're talking about. I was teasing my colleague Nancy that I had to close this presentation with a prayer that our organization's founder said. And as you know, our organization was founded by Mr. Albert Ratner, and he started our organization to help immigrants and newcomers who are here. And for the first time in 3 decades, Northeast Ohio saw more people move in than move out. And that's exactly because we're welcoming our sisters and brothers from all over the world. And we're very lucky to do that. And, but when I think about why I love my job so much, sometimes I close my eyes because this year is the year that I have now lived longer without my mom and dad than with them. And my mom was an immigrant from Slovenia, and my dad was very proud of his roots. But Mr. Ratner's mom used to say to him every night before he went to bed a prayer, and it went like this. They drew a line to keep me out, heretic rebel, one to flout. But love and I, oh, we had the wit to win. We drew a circle and brought him in. Happy Kindland Day.
Joe, thank you for you in Global Cleveland
Kindness is very important because we all have a desire to be loved, and we all have a desire to love, and kindness is the way to do that. I was remembering when we were having the award ceremony tonight, when I was 11 years old, I would walk to and from school. School was about a mile away from my house. I grew up on East 74th. My school was on East 60th Street. And one year I was going through incredibly painful growing pains, my knees, my ankles, my joints. And when I was coming home, I would stop in every storefront and sit down. What would normally take me 15 minutes to get home took me almost an hour and a half. And along the way, the store owners would come out and put their hand on me or say to me, "It's okay," ask me if I wanted water. And I think about that's what Kindland does. It takes people that need just a little bit of help, a little bit of support, and it helps us keep going and doing what we do. And that's the spirit of tonight. And all the people who were given an award, Councilwoman Turner, Mayor Clough, Councilman Polensek, these are incredible people who exhibit kindness every day just by waking up. And so it's a huge honor to be awarded this from Kindland. Global Cleveland, the organization I work for, proudly accepts this, and we know that we have even more work to do as we work to make Northeast Ohio the kindest place in the world.
Thank you from our dear friend Albert Ratner and his vision in creating this organization that really is the welcome mat to our community. What Global Cleveland does is puts out the welcome mat, and it has a big welcome sign on it. And in 1953, my parents took up that welcome sign, and they came here to Cleveland from Poland after they had survived the Holocaust. And they found a welcoming community. My father built his career as a home remodeler largely in the Broadway flat area and found just wonderful people and people who welcomed people. And really that's what it's all about. It's putting the welcome mat out for all of us and helping us hopefully live the American dream. Moving on in our program, I want to call up County Councilman, former County Council President Pernell Jones to present the award to Councilwoman Meredith Turner. And before Councilman Jones comes up, I just want to say something about Councilwoman Turner. We go back literally 30 years, right? 30 years, when Stephanie Tubbs Jones, God rest her soul, decided that we were an organization that was worthy of her embracing, and she became the chairperson of our advisory board. And Meredith was the designated go-to to attend all of our events. And Meredith, before the ceremony started, she showed me her Project Love pin that she still keeps. And that goes back to our Project Love days because we started in 1994 as Project Love. So Meredith, thank you for all the years of friendship. It's been incredible watching you rise to the occasion to step into the shoes of the late, great Stephanie Tubbs Jones and be the kind of leader that you are. And I know that she's looking down from heaven, very proud of you, as we all are. Pernell?
Thank you, Stu, and good evening, everyone. It truly is an honor to stand here before you to have the opportunity to honor my friend and my colleague, Meredith Turner. It truly is a blessing. I first met Meredith. She was working for Sherrod Brown as his local representative here in the Cleveland area. And I was really impressed because I don't even think I was an elected official at that time. And her desire to just serve this community, this award was made for Meredith Turner because of the kind person that she is. When she became my colleague on county council, I couldn't have been more thrilled. She is a person who cares about people. When we talk about being woke, and we need to in these days now, I think of Meredith because when I think woke, I think empathy. That means you see someone else and you actually feel how they feel. You care about how they feel. You want to do something to help them. That's all woke is. And I'm proud to say I'm woke. I'm proud to say I am empathetic. And I'm proud to say that I am a friend of Meredith Turner, who truly does have that empathy. And she shows it in everything that she does in her work, through her professional work. On county, she has over the years has served as the chair of the Human Resources Committee, where we work with people in the positions that they have and their opportunities to serve in this community. She was fit for that role. She now serves in a different chair now. She is the chair of Finance Committee, one of the largest committee, most important committees in county government. And I don't even think she realizes how important this is going to be, this role that she plays as she masters our county budget. She is set up in a position to do even greater things than she's doing right now. And she is doing some impressive things even as we speak. So again, I am proud to call her my friend. I am proud to see her receive this award, which she so richly deserves. And I wish you nothing but the best in the future, Meredith. God bless.
I got blinded there for a second. Thank you, Pernell. We go back, and Pernell has buried more of my family members than I'd like to mention, but we have that bond with one another, and I appreciate you so much. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say a quick story about Sherrod Brown really quickly. It was 2007 or turning into 2008, and we were preparing for the first Obama inauguration. And everybody was calling the office trying to get tickets, et cetera. And so my job at that time was to make sure that everybody got what they needed in the community, not to think about myself. And of course, for me and so many people who look like me, that was a moment that was so momentous for us. So the office had a raffle, inter-office raffle between all of our offices, Cincinnati, Columbus, Lorraine, and our DC office. And so I never win anything. So I didn't think that I would be one of the people to get one of these raffle tickets. And so my luck would have it that not only did I win one of those tickets, but my other colleague, Ken Williamson, also got a ticket. So we got to travel to DC to see the first Black African-American, whatever you want to call them, president be sworn in. And I don't think we won the raffle. I just think Sherrod was such a kind-hearted individual that he knew how important that moment might be to Ken and I. So I miss my old boss, and I just wanted to give him a shout out at the beginning of this speech. I am beyond honored to be with you today, and again, I just want to thank my colleague, Pernell, for those great words. I'm often like, did they say Meredith? Like, for some reason, I still don't think that I belong in places. To tonight's honorees, congratulations to you. As one of the recipients, in essence, I'm a little discombobulated because when Pernell started talking, Essence, I don't know where you went, but Essence is this young lady helped me get elected. And she reached back and she said, "Don't you start crying." And I had started crying. And I'm trying to get my composure back because I don't want to lose my eyelashes in front of you all. But as one of the recipients of the Cleveland Kindland Award, I'm forever grateful. Kindland is a movement that recognizes the power of kindness in shaping our communities and transforming lives. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to President and CEO Stuart Musinski, Chair Gibbons, AB Chair Cole, and the entire Kindland team for championing this mission and for reminding us all that simple acts of kindness can build bridges, heal wounds, and create a more compassionate world. I also want to recognize the past honorees. Blaine, he left. I'm not sure who else is a past honoree here tonight, but congratulations to you, to my fellow honorees, each of whom embodies the spirit of kindness in their own remarkable way. Joe Cimperman, President and CEO of Global Cleveland, has dedicated his career to fostering inclusivity, welcoming immigrants, and ensuring that Cleveland remains a place of opportunity for all. His tireless advocacy for global diversity strengthens the very fabric of our community. Mayor Dennis Clough of Westlake has been a steadfast leader for over 38 years, demonstrating that strong governance and a genuine care for his residents can go hand in hand. His commitment to the people of Westlake has made it one of the most thriving and welcoming communities in our region. And Councilman Michael Polensek, the longest-serving member of Cleveland City Council, has spent decades fighting for the neighborhoods he loves, ensuring that the people of Ward 8 have a voice and a champion who never backs down. Each of these leaders has shown that kindness in so many forms. It's an essential part of leadership. It is a privilege to be in such an esteemed company tonight, all of you, Mayor Blackwell and Ward, my colleague Pernell Jones, and Council President Dale Miller, who is the past Finance and Budgeting Chair and has taken me under his wing. And I want to thank you for all the support that you are giving me to make sure that I am successful and that we tackle this $25 million deficit. We're going to do it. Thanks, Dale. My journey with Kindland began years ago, as Stu mentioned, when I attended Project Love events on behalf of the office of Congresswoman Tubbs Jones. So picture this, Labor Day 2008, Luke Easter Park. This big smile like the Cheshire Cat. Well, this is how I remember it. She floated up to me on a cloud and smiled at me. And from that moment on, I found myself being in the clutches of Stephanie Tubbs Jones. I would go to her office. Her staff embraced me. They taught me how to be a congressional staffer. She was more than a mentor. She was a benefactor. A single act of kindness created a whole career for me. You can't be what you can't see. Her investment in me started years ago, and Stewart, our connection was sparked in that moment, and I'm so grateful that it has grown into this. Stephanie Tubbs Jones was the linchpin of our relationship. Her legacy of service, joy, and unrelenting kindness continues to inspire me every single day. And throughout my life, I found that kindness is not just something that we practice. It's a guiding force that takes us places we never imagined. I have carried this belief with me, and it has led me to serve my community, to uplift young people, and to push forward for the people of Cuyahoga County. Dr. Seuss said it best in "Oh, the Places You'll Go." You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. This book may have been written for children, but it still speaks to my heart as a reminder that kindness can be the fuel that propels us toward greater things. I want to thank my dear friend for nominating me for this incredible honor. Pernell, as a past honoree, you set the bar pretty high, and I'm so grateful for your support. To Stewart again and the Kindland team, to everyone who continues to uplift kindness as a core value, thank you. And during this Women's History Month, I want to dedicate this award to the two profoundly kind and powerful women that impacted my life the most. My mother, whose tough love and deep support laid the foundation for the servant that I get to be today. She worked in a steel mill for close to 40 years of my life, and I'm just 40. No, I'm 52. She had a hard life, very hard. She was the second of 8. A single mother of 4, and yet she found a way to buy a home in Shaker Heights, advancing our family into the middle class. I thank her so much for her sacrifices. And to my mentor, Stephanie Tubbs Jones, whose legacy of service continues to inspire me and so many others. Let us all continue to lead with kindness, knowing that it is a force that can move mountains. And lately, I've been learning to be kinder to myself. Has anybody in this room ever experienced imposter syndrome? Just us. I wasn't sure if I belonged here, but I think of the words of Aibileen, played by the actress Viola Davis in the movie The Help. Meredith, you is kind, you is smart, you is important. Stuart, thank you from the bottom of my heart for this incredible honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith, for those beautiful and inspiring words.
Kindness is like a language, actually. It's about being considerate. It's important to our community because as members of the community, we should strive to be kind and considerate, and kindness is just another way of saying I love you. And that should be a value, I believe, of all communities. How I met the late Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones. She really did float up to me on a cloud with a big smile, but really, having never met me before that moment, she really embraced me. Her office, her team embraced me and invested in me in a way that I wasn't used to at that time. And it wasn't superficial. It was very real. You know, she couldn't even say my name at first, right? But then it was like, call that girl, you know. And then ultimately I was at the table making decisions, and I remember her 58th birthday. This was before digital cameras, and I was scanning like hundreds of pictures on a scanner to create like a slideshow for her birthday. But at any rate, she loved me, she treated me like a daughter, and she was more than a mentor, she was a benefactor. Her kindness created a whole career for me. I would like to say to the community at large, you know, kindness is a core value of mine. I believe it's one that we share. I get to go out and represent you every day through policy, through my own experiences. That's how I show my kindness. So I hope that we will all adopt being considerate and loving and kind to one another. Again, it's a language that I think even an animal understands.
Mark Twain once said, "The kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see." And I think that says it all about the power of kindness. Now, sometimes people are afraid to be kind. Sometimes there's a barrier where you think that you're going to be taken advantage of. And I want to tell a little story just to dissuade anybody from having that barrier of not being kind, not reaching out to somebody, not smiling at someone, not coming out of the comfort zone to engage a fellow human being. So last week in the Jewish religion, we had the holiday of Purim, which is a celebration of good over evil, going back to Persia. And it's a celebration where you give money to the poor and you give gifts to your friends, nice treats called hamantaschen, and you get dressed up in costumes. So our granddaughter, Olivia, at Park Synagogue decided that she wanted to be a toilet. And she got this blow-up toilet with legs, blow-up legs that looked like she was sitting on a toilet. And I said to Susan, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to be her plumber. So I put on a plumber's apron and got a plunger and got some Drano and put a little sign on my apron that said Stewart's Plumbing when you're all stepped up, Paul Stewart. And then I showed the photo to our Kindland team. And we had a lot of fun in text messages. Someone said, kindness is unstoppable. And someone said that when you're uncertain about kindness, just do a little plunge. It just went on and on and on. It was really funny. So my message to everyone here is that kindness is unstoppable. And if you have any hesitancy, just take the plunger out and do a little plunge and get in the mood of spreading kindness throughout our community. Thank you, everyone.